What's up, everybody? It's Demo with Demo Vapes. I have to start off this video by apologizing because there's not going to be any sort of drip porn or sped up build footage, because tonight we're going to be taking a look at the Voopoo Alpha 1. So we're going to be taking a look at a mod tonight. It's an awesome mod. It's a little bit boxy, but holds a 24mm atomizer here with no overhang and hits really hard. Fires down to 0.05. Sitting on here tonight, I have a 0.1 ohm build in this heat-treated reload RDA, vaping it at around 105 watts. Let's take it for a rip. Fantastic performance. The mod fires right up, hits really nice and hard, and is overall a really fantastic mod. All right, well, enough talking. Let's go down to the up close and I'll show you a lot more about the Voopoo Alpha 1. Alrighty, everybody. This is the Alpha 1 by Voopoo. This is the package it comes in. It says Alpha 1 on the front, Voopoo on the side, Voopoo on the top, barcode on the side with the color designation right here, nothing on the bottom. And on the back, we have a description of what comes with the kit, as well as a warning, scratch and sniff authenticity, and all of the qualifications on the bottom. Sliding open the package, right in front, you'll see we have the Voopoo Alpha 1 right here. Taking that out, setting it to the side. Below that, we have a little foam insert. Inside the package, you will get a micro USB cable for charging and upgradable firmware. And below that, you'll have your Voopoo warranty card and instruction manual, and this little card that says powerful chip born for fever. I'm not really sure what that's all about, but I never feel feverish when I vape unless I vape too much and I have too much nicotine, so I'm not really sure what that's all about. And here we have the Voopoo Alpha 1 in all of its boxy glory. Yeah, this is a kind of a boxy mod, very sharp corners. We'll get to that in the cons section, but yeah, no, very sharp corners. Looks very retro. Has kind of got this little corrugated aluminum material right here. Makes it sort of look like a tape holder or something that you would store a cassette tape in. On the front, you have the fire button, the screen, and the up and down buttons. On the top, we have a nice 510 connection that is screwed into the top, so no real worries about this pulling out on you if you pull on your tank too hard. It's a nice solid 510. If I zoom in here, you can see it is slightly raised up from the top, though not too bad. Not as bad as the Voopoo Drag, in my opinion. Though my 510 seems to be, and you won't be able to see this from the side, but my 510 does seem to be slightly canted, so everything I put on here has a slight tilts a little bit, but it's not too bad. On the side, you can see we have some text that says vape it your way. I'm seeing this a lot on some of the Chinese products, especially the ones here by Voopoo and by Vandy Vape, putting this kind of text, stuff like that there. Zooming back out, popping this open. You can see we have the battery door right here with a little ribbon. Positive goes up on this side and positive goes down on that side. So this mod does run in series. The entire tray here, including the wall, is made of plastic, so no real concerns about shorts if you have a slightly bad battery wrap. On the back, we have a little inspection QC sticker there. It's nice to see. And on the inside of the door, you can see we have what looks like almost like an electrical tape type lining there. That's nice to see. If you have bad battery wraps, you first of all really should rewrap your batteries, but if there's a tear that you're not aware of and the door comes in contact with your battery, it won't be a huge concern. Now, that said, on this side, this does not have any sort of coating over here, and being that this side is slightly open, you could potentially have some small problems, but I don't think with the way the batteries are in there, I don't think that your batteries will actually end up contacting this side of the battery door. So, not a huge deal, but would have liked to have seen it extend all the way over there. Popping some batteries in, using Sony VTC5As for this. Mod springs to life. Pop that back on. Now, right away you'll notice there is a lot of play with this battery door. I would have hoped that there was less play in this, but there is definitely quite a lot of play, both up and down as well as side to side as well. So not the tightest fit, but as a slider goes, you're gonna kind of end up with that sometimes, but at the same time, I would have liked to have seen this a lot tighter. All right, I dropped my lights here so we can see the screen a little bit clearer. You can see we have a basic wattage screen showing you the resistance, the voltage, and the wattage. Wattage on this adjusts in 1 watt increments, starting at 5 watts, going all the way up to 222 watts. Now, while this is going, one of the major pros I think for this is the fact that it does adjust in 1 watt increments. Now, see, what we have here is it stops at 159, and when you click the next button, it goes into love mode. And we'll talk more about love mode up top, but that's an interesting thing. Then continue to hold, goes all the way up to 222 watts. Beautiful. All right, let me go down to something a little bit more reasonable. All right, first of all, showing you some of the functions. Click it 3 times to switch between modes. So we're in wattage now. Go 1, 2, 3. That goes into stainless steel temperature control. 1, 2, 3. Nickel temperature control. 1, 2, 3. Got titanium. And back to wattage. Now, when you are in this or any other mode, press the fire button and the up button at the same time. That will lock the device. Not only does it lock the function buttons, but it does also lock the fire button as well. I think that's a little redundant, to be honest with you. I would have liked to have seen this just lock these two buttons. As it stands, this function does lock all of the buttons. Go ahead and take that out of lock. Pressing the fire button and the wattage down button flips the screen. Flip it back over. Now, one more thing to note, press these two buttons together. Does sometimes adjust your wattage. Now we are in the menu. This W on the screen will take us out of the menu mode and back to wattage. This will get you into your memory. Then you'll have M1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Those also apply in temperature control as well. The next over, there is the love designation. Press that, you can turn love mode on and off. Again, we'll go over that here in a minute. Now, this is a very interesting function. This W2V changes the mod from a variable wattage to a variable voltage mod. So click that. Now we are in variable voltage, so I can adjust this. If you're used to vaping on a mech setup, this is kind of nice because rather than having to adjust wattage and trying to figure that out, you can just adjust what kind of voltage you're getting rather than having to fine tune the watts. It's a much coarser adjustment than wattage, but definitely a nice feature, especially if you have an older atomizer that doesn't have wattage instructions for like a sub-ohm coil head or even a super ohm coil head like you'll see on like the Nautilus Mini or something like that. The Nautilus Mini has a designation that says 4.2 volts to 5 volts, right? Well, rather than having to do the calculations yourself and figure out what the wattage is appropriate based on the resistance and everything like that, you can just flip it over into this mode, pop it into variable voltage mode, and go to town. Go back to wattage. Here we have the serial number. It'll tell you your exact gene chip ID. And here we have the firmware. I have not updated my firmware at all, so this is the standard original firmware. All right, and this guy has a smart wattage function. So here I'm gonna screw this reload, heat-treated reload on here. As soon as I screw it down, it'll ask me whether I have a new coil or not. I'll go ahead and hit yes. It'll read the resistance and it'll suggest a wattage for me. Now, in general, these wattages are pretty low for what you're gonna end up wanting to vape, but that is kind of nice because you're not gonna blow your face off with the suggested wattage. And if you put a new atomizer on, say I had this atomizer on and then I wanted to put a smaller single coil atomizer like the Serpent SMM on, for example, it's really nice to just be able to put it on, say new coil, and then not have to worry that you're going to accidentally fire it, say if you forget to adjust your wattage or something like that. I've done that before and I've wound up being very pissed off by getting a very intensely burnt hit and then having to re-wick. This kind of eliminates that. And yeah, that's really kind of about it. Just some fit and finish things. I've noticed that this button kind of can sit crooked sometimes on you. It's a little bit loose. Not a huge deal, but just something to point out. This button is very clicky and it doesn't take a whole lot of effort to push. Now, one thing you'll notice, these buttons actually click on the inside here rather than on the outside. Like you'd expect them to click over here, but they click on the inside. Now, a lot of reviewers have complained that this seems like a silly thing that it should click on the outside, but I'm gonna argue against that actually. I think that if these clicked on the outside, you would have a really difficult time unscrewing things and pulling caps off for RDAs, especially things with tight O-rings. The outside, if you clicked it, you wouldn't be able to grip it and use that to unscrew anything because everything would just click all the time. Having it like that allows this side of the mod to still be a firm place to grip without having it click your buttons all the time. I don't actually think that's a huge deal. While it is kind of a weird thing, and especially will be annoying for left-handed vapors who will have to kind of bring their finger in like that to push the button. For a right-handed vapor, no problem. It just clicks nice and easily. All right, guys, and that's really about it. We're gonna go back up top and I'll show you a little bit more about the Voopoo Alpha 1. All right, everybody, and that was the Voopoo Alpha 1. First of all, I wanted to talk a little bit about love mode. Love mode is kind of a pulse width modulation style of vaping where it seems, from what I've heard anyway, it seems to pulse at 160 or whatever wattage you're set at, from 160 to like 100, and I don't know the frequency or anything like that, but it pulses back and forth so that it gives you a quote-unquote gentler vape experience at that high wattage. Frankly, to me, it just seems like it makes the vape cooler, and so I don't really quite understand that. I would much rather have a cooler vape that I just set a little lower than to set it so high to vape cooler. I don't quite understand that. So love mode, not really a thing for me. I'm not really into it anyway. It's there, and if that's the way you like to vape, if you like to vape at super high wattages, then, let me know in the comments down below if you have one of these. Let me know if it works for you and whether you like it or not. All right, we're gonna zip right into the pros and cons. I'm gonna start with the cons. First con, subjective con. Some people don't like the way this guy looks. It's kind of a retro feel and looks a lot like an old school Sony Walkman. And for a lot of people, they may not necessarily like that. I've had some friends tell me that it's super ugly, and then I've had other friends tell me that they really love it and they would love to pick one up and have asked me, where can I get this? I need to get one. So it may not be for everybody, but But I personally really like it, but I'm gonna give it a subjective con on that because I've had plenty of people tell me that they think it's super ugly. This mod is super boxy. The corners are extremely sharp and the edges are also extremely sharp. One day when I was using this for most of the day, at the end of the day, I took a look at my hand and there was a little mark in my hand from where the corner had been digging in the entire day. And that's kind of a bummer. It's definitely not the most comfortable mod to hold. If ergonomics is something you really care about, then this is definitely not gonna be for you. By the way, sorry, I'm shooting during the day and there's clouds going over and it kind of tends to, oh, there we go. See, now I'm super bright. So it kind of tends to mess with my exposure, so I apologize about that. Another con, there's a lot of play in the battery door. You hear that? That's kind of a bummer. It not only plays up and down, but also side to side just a little bit. To me, it's kind of a big deal because as I use it, I can actually sometimes feel it shifting on me while I'm holding it. Mods that have that problem feel of poor quality. I don't really like that, especially if I'm spending almost $100 for a mod. It should be more solid than that. Honestly though, for me, that's really all the cons that I have for this guy. On to the pros. First pro, which I guess is opposite of the first con, I think it looks really cool, but that's subjective. This is always subjective. Looks are subjective. This mod hits super hard. Voopoo advertises a firing delay of about 25 milliseconds, and I believe them. This build I have on here is a thick build. It's a really big build, so there is a ramp up time to the actual build. But that said, it hits very close to the way that a mech mod would, and I love that about this. Usually there's a trade-off for me. If I'm using a regulated mod, it's nice to be able to adjust my wattage and change the heat of how I vape as I like. But one of the problems I have with things like the DNA boards, they tend to have a long ramp up time. And while they hit really smoothly and really nice, that ramp up time is a real bummer, especially as a mech mod enthusiast. From what I understand, when I watched Phil Basardo's video on this product, super accurate, wattages are really accurate, temp control seems to be really accurate, everything is really accurate, and for a mod that's a lot cheaper than a lot of the DNA boards out there, that's a really great thing. If you don't quite have the money for a DNA board, I would highly recommend one of the Voopoo mods, whether it's either the Alpha 1 or the Drag. Both have extremely accurate wattage and temperature control. This mod is super easy to use, the menus are really easy to navigate, and it's easy to figure out what to do to change your modes and stuff like that. When I first opened this, I didn't even read the user manual. I just figured it out by pressing a bunch of buttons, and it's fairly easy to figure out. Another pro, it fires down to 0.05. That's awesome. I don't vape that low, but when I'm building, sometimes what'll happen when you're building, you'll wind up having a resistance that drops as you begin to fire your coils, and it can drop sometimes as low as 0.05, and it's nice to be able to fire stuff down that low. Overall, fantastic mod. Let's have one more vape. Tonight I'm vaping on this Rogue by Vigilante Juice Company. This is a vanilla bean, custard, coconut, and caramel. Delicious juice. If you like that kind of flavor profile, oh man, this is so good. You should definitely check them out. Overall, fantastic mod. Now, I did buy this for the purposes of this review. I spent about $95 on it, but clicking around on the internet, I'm finding it anywhere between $90 and $100. I'm going to post a link down in the description for this mod to VapeHappy. You can pick it up there for $91.99, so that's a reasonable price for this mod. Now, I did want to tell you guys right away, that link below that I'm going to put down there is an affiliate link. So if you want to click around, feel free to go click around on Google and find this for a cheaper price if you can. But if you do want to go ahead and buy it through VapeHappy, pop down, click the link. It'll help me out, give me a few extra bucks. Any money that I'm making from affiliate links as of right now, I'm going to be donating straight to advocacy. So just know that anything that you do that helps me out monetarily is going to be helping you out as a vapor because I'm going to donate it straight to advocacy. With that being said, would I buy it again? Absolutely, I'd buy it again. I can overlook the boxiness and the slight discomfort for me anyway, and I think it's a great mod. I think it's really cool looking, vapes really nicely. So that's about it, guys. That's all I have for you. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoyed this. If you didn't, please leave a comment down below and tell me what I can do better. Gotta make sure I drip before my sign off so I don't get a dry hit. That's it, guys. Demo out. All right, I dropped my lights here so you can see, I dropped my